So lately I have been thinking about not spending money on electronics and not spending money on ebooks from Amazon where they can just take them away whenever they want to. And that reminded me that my mom had a 3rd gen Kindle. And I was like, hey mom, you still got that Kindle? I want to see if it works. And so she dug it out. It was covered in dust. And I ended up figuring out that the battery was dead. I couldn't get it to work, like to charge at all. Now here's a tip for you. If you have an e-reader that isn't charging, don't plug it into your computer. There's not enough amperage. Plug it into a hardcore charger, like the ones you use on a modern smartphone that's got a little bit of oomph to it. And if that doesn't get it going, then you're gonna need to replace the battery. And I bought a battery. This is actually the Kindle battery. It's like puffy and kind of sus, like I'm worried it's gonna explode. I need to recycle that bad boy. But anyways, you can get a battery for like 20 bucks for one of these Kindles on Amazon of all places. It's pretty ironic that you can get bootleg Kindle parts on Amazon and the tools to take apart the Kindle. And the reason I decided to do this was I want another e-reader in the house, and I wanted to see if these old e-readers still hold up. I have like a relatively new Kindle. It drives me nuts because it doesn't have physical buttons. I hate it so much. But this bad boy has physical buttons. I love it. It was such a breeze to read stuff back then on this. I think the very first ebook I ever read on it was a 1,000-page like post-apocalyptic novel that was pretty awful, but I had such a great experience reading on the Kindle. Now, these old Kindles, they don't have the cool fonts or anything, but as we go through this video, while I'm showing you me disassembling and kind of breaking this Kindle, we can talk about great places to get DRM-free ebooks, because the sooner you get out of the Kindle ecosystem, probably the better for the entire ebook industry. They're too big, they suck. They have such a stranglehold on the industry that it is stifling to new writers. I know that there's I put my book on there and it's hyper niche and I get a lot of people reading it and I make decent money. It's like, all right, I know you are the exception that proves the rule. The problem is their practices are not kind to new writers. If you want a good deal with them, you have to be exclusive to them, and it ends up sucking if you want to get away from it. There's all sorts of videos about this. If you want an actual intelligent take on Amazon's crazy practices, you can check out the Jared Henderson video that I link in the description. Talks about the Kindle having a big problem and leaving it behind. This is me kind of leaving it behind. I'm going to be using a Kindle, but I'm not buying books from Amazon unless they're Amazon exclusives. And even then, I'm going to be figuring out a way to save my personal copies that I bought DRM-free. That's like my biggest problem. And we'll get into that as you watch me break this Kindle. And by break, I mean fix, because I ain't no dummy. I can use plastic tools to pry apart a intricately designed piece of electronics. Let's get into it. So like I said, I got this battery and these tools. It was like 20 bucks. It's pretty easy to pry open. Sorry if I got like a shaky cam or stuff dipping out of frame. This is super simple. You're gonna watch me bungle it quite a bit while I'm trying to figure out how to pry this little thing open. It's not like I didn't practice it before the video started. I just want to talk about why you should get books outside of Amazon. The thing about Amazon is when everything is tied to Amazon, you can have something stupid happen like a fraud alert and your account get locked down, and then you lose access to your ebooks, your audiobooks, and all your other services. This has happened to someone that I know. I also know of someone that was doing some shady mail things for their benefit against Amazon, and their house got banned from Amazon. So if you have an account that was linked to that address, you could lose everything, and they can just arbitrarily take your things away. Why put all your eggs in one basket? The other thing is competition is very good for consumers. So if you're reaching out to other places and picking up ebooks because they're DRM free, or there are features from these other places that you enjoy, that can force Amazon's hand. I mean, it took Brandon Sanderson not releasing his secret projects on Audible to get them to even come to the table and talk about treating authors better when it came to audiobooks. So yes, I'm not going to make a difference when it comes to Amazon, but a lot of us can. The other thing is sometimes you can get them cheaper other places, so why not do it? And yeah, you can see me prying the bejesus out of this. I think right here is where I break this button. It no longer clicks. It still works, but it no longer clicks. I snapped it and I was like, oh no. But let's get into places you can get audiobooks. Baen is one of the places I like. Now, Baen Books is very cool. They have some fantastic science fiction, fantasy, all that. They got some turds too, but here's the thing. One, their ebooks are very cheap. They pay their writers pretty well. And there's a lot of heavy hitters on there. Some most people don't like, but Lois McMaster Bujold's Vorkosigan saga came out there, so might as well pick them up there. The other thing they do is they have a free library, which is a way to get a bunch of free ebooks that are usually the starts of series, like the Eric Flint Ring of Fire series. I think it's 1632 or whatever. Very fun book. You can get it for free there. And they have e-arcs, so you can read a book before it's even released to the general public. I mean, this is technically the general public, but what you're reading is a proof that went to the printer. You're not reading the final copy. So there could be some errors, but I'm pretty sure there's not most of the time. And it's not going to affect your enjoyment of the book. So that's a cool feature. And the last thing I'll mention from them is they sell monthly bundles. So basically you pay a price to get everything in a bundle for an entire month. And it's more than you're going to be able to read. And maybe half of them you won't read, but it leaves your options open and it gives you new and interesting things. I'm not going to say Bane is like the end all be all, but I will say they're pretty good books. And I think it's worth looking into. Here I am unscrewing this very swollen battery. I didn't realize it until I took it out and I was like, that's a puffy boy. Is that going to burst or catch fire? And then all you got to do, put this bad boy in. And as I was screwing this down, I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the video, but there's a green light that appears in the upper right hand side of the Kindle. This thing already had 3/4 of a charge. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to charge it or let it run down first. Maybe I should Google that, or it doesn't really matter. It was a $20 battery. I'm not going to nuke it, just not using it the way it was intended the first time, because it's a 1900 milliamp hour battery powering something that could be powered by squirrels chasing walnuts. So yeah, while I'm getting this stupid thing done, let's talk about other places. One place I really like is Story Bundle. This is me showing the screen because I thought it was going to do something, but it doesn't. Anyways, Story Bundle is really cool. You can get a bunch of stuff all at once, and they're usually a theme, and sometimes it's very well-known writers, and other times it's not. There was a really cool NaNoWriMo bundle I bought from there that was like sponsored by Brandon Sanderson and Writing Excuses, and it had some of his stuff that he did with the Writing Excuses crew, and it had some stuff that was like from Kevin J. Anderson and other writers, and it's just advice for becoming a better writer, all DRM-free books. Super cool. Another place with bundles, Humble Bundle does ebooks. Most of the time they're DRM-free. You got to be careful, you know, your mileage may vary. They did Terry Pratchett not too long ago, but it was Kobo books, but there are ways to remove the DRM that I'm not going to get into so you can enjoy them. And lastly, like the Kobo store, not all their books are DRM free, but you can specifically look for DRM free stuff. And I think that that is just such a great thing to have, because you should be in control of the intellectual properties that you buy. One of the other places is ebooks.com. I mean, whoa, it's 2025 and I'm able to type noun.com into something and it actually show up and be something I want. Super cool. And yet again, you got to filter for DRM free, but it is an option and I really appreciate it. The other thing you can do is get stuff from Project Gutenberg, which is like the best place to find old books, especially stuff that's out of print. It's great. You can get all of like the Robert E. Howard Conan stuff. You can read all of the issues of Weird Tales. There's very good ebook conversions for a lot of the stuff on there. And the other places like Project Gutenberg Australia, because things become public domain sooner in Australia. I'm not even going to get into the whole copyrights and public domain being available in another country sooner than it is in the United States. I love Mark Twain, but I think the worst thing he ever did for society was extending copyright claims beyond whatever it was, like 25 years or something. And so I don't want to get into the whole IP thing. But beyond that, I think it's important to just diversify where you get things. Being in a walled garden is great until you get locked out of it. So check out some of these places, see if you like what they've got. And one of the reasons I fixed this Kindle was I could just get another one for cheap. But you know, when they say reduce, reuse, recycle, they're put in that order for a reason. You want to reduce your waste, reuse what you can. And if you have something that you can't do the first two with, then you recycle it. Let's keep some e-waste out of landfills and maybe pick up a crappy Kindle from a thrift store or something and see if you can fix it. Why not? It's not going to cost much. Bam, son. Look at that. Good as new. One of the best things to read on here. A gigantic tome from Brandon Sanderson. I'm so happy about this. This brings me nothing but joy. I fixed a piece of junk electronics. I'm not good at this stuff. This is the first time I've ever tried it. I wanted to use something like this as a vessel for talking to all of you about better ways to get ebooks. Maybe not better, but like just different. and a way to kind of be the change you want to see in like the reading world. It really bums me out when I hear about how hard some people struggle when they're writers, and it's directly because of something from Amazon. Like Daniel Green just posted something because he's not a fan of Amazon, he's not a fan of Goodreads, and now he's like, well, I want to be traditionally published, but Goodreads, owned by Amazon, is kind of a big deal in the publishing industry, so I need to get some more reviews on there. And it's just like, what? Being beholden to a single company is never going to be a good thing for any industry. And I think that just going out there and finding new sources for these products is not only fun, but in the long term, good for everybody. I'm going to quit preaching now. I hope you like this video. If you go to Bane's website, I suggest 1632. There is another book on there called Old Nathan by David Drake. I'm going to be reading that this year, hopefully. It's free on there, and it is a book about a like wizard in colonial America, and it was heavily inspired by Manly Wade Wellman's John the Balladeer. That just sounds perfect. He's like a kind of witch hunter-ish in colonial America. It's so cool. I can't think of another fantasy book with that like vibe to it in that era. The only thing it comes close is maybe Orson Scott Card's Alvin the Maker series, but I think this probably has a better tone, written by a better person. And beyond those, let me know in the comments of great places to get DRM-free books. I would love to hear about it. Give me some recommendations for some books I can pick up for cheap or free, like Project Gutenberg. I think that's it. Thanks for watching. And with that, I'll see you next time.